Hello everyone, can you guys hear me? Awesome. Hey Red. Hey Drunken Beard, Black Helicopter, you guys made it. So I tried to do this stream twice. This is the third attempt. Both times I had it scheduled. I had to fly for real. The first time I had to get up early the next morning, so I just couldn't do it. Ran out of time. Rescheduled, and when I rescheduled it, I had a flight pop up at the last minute, like an hour prior to the live stream on Sunday. So finally getting to do it. So I said in the title, worst weather possible. You can see out the window we have nice clear blue sky. So the first thing I'll do is make the worst weather possible. So I'm just gonna make it rainy. If the rain starts, if it's too loud or bothers people, I can turn that off. But that's a little better there. It's a little bit yuckier. And we'll turn the cloud heights down to about 200. I'm trying to make it the visibility a little bit worse. Howdy, Andrew. There we go. That's better. All right, so we are at Eagle Creek, and just outside Indianapolis, Indiana, and we're gonna fly up to Port Clinton, which is on Lake Erie in Ohio. And I'm gonna let you guys pick the approach when we get going. There's three choices. There is an NDB approach. I can do it standalone with the just the bearing pointer. I can do it with the FMS with an overlaid, with the bare needle overlaid for the NDB, or I can just do a GPS approach. And yeah, I will do some VNAV stuff. I've actually got that planned a little bit. I'm going to show some, just a couple little other ways you can use it. So you see them on an arrival like a star. You'll see a VNAV where you can set the bottom in and it'll just fly it down. I'm going to kind of set that up as we go with the waypoints that we have on the route. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to treat this like I do when I actually fly. First thing I'm going to do is just set up the FMS. And I actually did pick a real route off the flight planning software that I use in the real world. Alright, so we're just going to type in departure point. Whoops, got to clear this out. So departure point is Eagle Creek. Going to PCW. And the first fix is Jolvu intersection. JOLVU. There. Then we're going to go Victor 14. to Flag City, Foxtrot, Bravo, Charlie, and then destination, which is KPCW. Some point in there, we'll have to load in the approach. So that part may change a little bit. Okay, so that's in there. Then Perfinet, I actually went through a minute ago before I started the stream. I've actually got the airplane light. So there's only 100 pounds of baggage, no people. But either way, you can just put the total weight under cargo. You don't have to put it up here on passengers. You can just put the total weight under cargo. It still works just the same. Let's see, altitude. We can go, I'll stay kind of low because we're not, we'll go mid-20s. So we'll go 23,000. Another thing, I know some people may put FL230. You can also just type in, if you wanted to, 23,000, and it'll put FL for flight level. It knows. And then takeoff. I actually need to go here and select the departure runway. There's 210, so this is runway 21. Then we go back to perf, takeoff. Air temp is 13. And the pressure I can get off of here is actually 2992. That's already in. And there's no wind, so we'll leave that blank. It is raining, so we'll use wet on runway conditions. And we'll go flap setting 0. Gives a little bit better climb performance at 0 versus 15 most of the time. And let's see if it actually changes the distance. I believe it does. So dry, 2669. Whoops. And wet, yep, it does change, 2936. So they programmed that good. And we have runway available 4,200 feet. We can send those numbers. And there they are. And the next thing we'll do is set the flight director. So all I'm going to do is just set it up for runway heading. So we'll go heading. And then we've got pitch selected over here on the flight mode advanced here. It just comes up. And we'll pitch that up to about 10 degrees. And the reason I do heading is if you set runway heading in and you're on the wrong runway, it's going to be banked left or right. The flight director will, but when we do, there it goes. Heading selected to the runway, the flight director bars are level. That's what you want to see when you're lined up on the runway for takeoff. All right, then altitude, we said flight level 230. Right there we go. 23. And we also selected flaps 0 on the takeoff performance, but we have flaps 15 in. So we have to raise a notch of flaps. And they're there. And the other thing I like to do, you can see your route on the MFD. If you do just MFD Advance, and then we have to go to the MFD. Here we go to actually lower menu, and if you go to plan like that, hit escape, clear that menu, and then here you can hit next waypoint, and you can see your waypoints along the route. And there's the destination. So I've already got my presets on memory set, so I just hit memory 3 and it goes back to what I had up there originally, actually memory 1. And that's it. And here we go. And then the other thing I'll do is when we take off, I'll get to 400 feet, and then we'll start the turn and head on course to the first fix, and then I'll really just go up and press nav. And then en route, I will do some VNAV stuff as well. And can you guys see the screen okay? Do you want me to move it, the angle up or down, or zoom in or out? Okay, good. And here we go. As soon as I turn the pitot heat on and make sure the brakes are off. V1, there's rotate, and V2, positive rate, gear up. And then we're beyond 400 feet. So now we'll start the left turn on course. And I am still in takeoff power. Most of these airplanes have a 5-minute limitation on keeping it at takeoff power on both engines. But we're at safe altitude there. We can come back to climb and reduce the bank angle just a little bit. And we'll go autopilot on. And the only other thing I want to do right here is flight level change. I want it to hold 240 knots, so I don't have to. And there's 240. Now it's just going to fly to the north here. It's intercepting that route, or the course. We'll zoom out just a little bit and just let it do its thing. There we go. So Havoc, bless you, say you're doing your check ride on Friday. I'm learning how to set up for IMC flying by watching my video. Good. Are you doing instrument check ride? Oh, private. Okay, yeah. There's not a whole lot set up for IMC flying with private, so you should be good to go. The one thing that does make it easier if you are flying to a VOR, have the VOR frequency tuned up and the approximate course you're going to fly to the VOR. That makes it a lot easier. Real world and flight sim. It's just one less thing you have to do when you're in the airplane. What are you doing your private pilot in, Havoc Blast? What kind of airplane? Oh, well, actually, I've never flown a Cherokee 140. I've flown Warriors and Archers and Arrows, but I never flew a Cherokee 140. All right, and there's 18. Now, altimeter's already at 2992. One thing I learned, I was just messing around with Flight Sim yesterday actually. If you set baro up here to 2992, it only changes the pilot side barrel on the PFD. If you press the B key, it changes all three of them. It'll change the one on the pilot side PFD, it will change the one on the standby, and the co-pilot PFD. So we're actually getting to 23 kind of quick. I'm going to take this thing a little bit higher, see if we can get above these clouds up here, because this sim and ice is terrible, and it'll build up if you're not even near it. So if I can just stay out of it, we'll probably hit it on the way back through, but that's fine. This is going up to 27. Actually, the last stream, somebody also, Drunken Bear, said turn on the climate control, everybody's freezing. It's just one thing I don't, in the sim, I never touch it. It doesn't affect anything I do in the sim, so I never turn it on. But there's no passengers back there. I actually have it at 0 and nobody. At least we'll keep the seats warm, right?
Altitude.
And there it's saying altitude, that's 1,000 feet to go, so it should start leveling off. Then we'll start accelerating. I'll just keep the true airspeed around 400 when we level off. This one might go kind of quick. I'm hoping the weather's bad enough that we can't get in, so we can go mist and do the ILS approach at Toledo. All right, there is 27. See up there on the flight mode and indicator, we have ALTS, so the altitude is captured. And we'll just let it accelerate. And we got on top of the clouds, so we don't have to worry about ice. All right, and there's 400, true airspeed. No. All right, so Black Helicopters, you were asking about VNAV stuff, so I will do some VNAV stuff here. So you can see up here in front of us on the MFD, FBC flag city, that's Findlay, Ohio. What I'm going to do, I'm going to cross that at 17,000 feet, and then I'm going to cross Port Clinton at, let me look at the chart, I think it's 3,100. Stand by. So if I'm doing the NDB 27, actually no altitude at it, but the MSA there is, well, the highest one's 3,100, so we'll just put 3,100. Have a blast to see you fly out of Toledo and Toledo Executive. I know both of those places. I actually learned to fly in Northwest Ohio. All right, so I'm going to go down here on the FMS, hit next. We're going to go to FBC, which is Findlay. I want to cross that at 17,000 feet. So we'll type in 17,000. There's FBC. And now we have 17,000 there. And I want to cross Port Clinton at 3,100. We'll stick that there. Okay, so right now the lowest altitude we're going to go to, and we're going to say we're cleared for all this, is 3,100 feet. So what I want to do is go up here to the altitude selector, because remember, altitude's captured. We see ALT over here. It's not going to go anywhere. It's going to stay there. We're going to put this to 3,100 because that's the lowest we're going to go. You always set in the bottom altitude. So there's 31. And the airplane's not going to do anything right now. We have to hit VNAV, and it still won't do anything. So we'll hit VNAV. So now it's got V out. You can see it on the flight mode annunciator on the PFD. So right now it's looking at right here, top of descent. When it hits the top of descent, it'll start down so that it crosses Findlay or Flag City at 17,000 feet. And then the working title guys, who actually one of them was in here just a second ago, they added the VNAV window. So if you go to perf, that's not it. I'll find it. Give me a second. Right here, window, and do VNAV. We're going to lose this information up here, our time and stuff, but that's okay. And then you have this window. So you can see the top of descent is 7 minutes away, or 50.3 nautical miles, and it's going to descend at a 3-degree glide path. And right now it would have to descend at 814 feet per minute. So we can wait till the top of descent, or we can make it descend right now. If we wanted to make it descend right now, we would go direct to that altitude. So you'd go back to the legs page. You would hit direct, and I'm not actually going to do it. I'll do it when we get a little closer. I just don't want to do it quite yet. You would hit direct. You go next, and you would hit over here where that 17,000 is. Oh, hey, K2017. He's still here. He's one of the working title guys. So you would actually go direct to that 17,000, and then it just goes direct to it. In the airplane, you hit it, and you have to hit execute, but this, they saved a step. So that's pretty much it on VNAV. So it would go direct to that 17,000. It would hit it, and then after that, for Flag City, it would look at the angle and then start down when it hits that next predetermined angle, which I believe is 1.7 degrees. So to make VNAV easy, all you have to do is set in the bottom altitude in your altitude selector and just make sure the waypoints in your FMS match. Hey Michael, glad you made it. Better late than never. So another thing this does that's very cool is we can check the weather. So now's a good time to do that. We'll check the weather and then we'll put in an approach. So to get the weather, we're going to go index, data link, weather, and then we're going to we have two choices here: request weather or view weather. We're going to request, and we can type in up to 6 locations. We're going to do Port Clinton, and then we'll do Toledo, our alternate. So we'll do KPCW. Put that one there, and Toledo Express. Actually, they don't call it that anymore, but I still do. I'll put that there and hit send. And then we go back to data link, weather, and then view. And then we just select each point, so, or each destination. So the METAR for Port Clinton, there's the time it was made. That is messed up. Yeah, the wind direction's messed up. I don't know what they're... It might be because I've got... I don't have live weather turned on. But anyway, the wind is something at 10 knots. 10 miles visibility. Broken at 500. Broken at 5,500. Temperature is 22. Altimeter is 2983. And then we can check Toledo real quick. Let's see, we have 17 minutes until the destination. So we'll go return, Toledo. And Toledo has winds 240 at 14, 10 miles. Broken 5,000 and 24 over 16. Yeah, Barrett.50. I haven't really had a problem with the VNAV in this at all. I haven't personally. I mean, others that mean others haven't, but it's been pretty good for me, I have to say. All right, so we can see we're getting closer to the top of descent. So we still have 3 minutes. So in 3 minutes, 21 miles, this thing should start descending. So what kind of approach do you guys want to see at Port Clinton? Do you want to see a GPS approach, or do you want to see an NDB approach by itself with no help from the FMS? Hey Jason, good evening. Uh-oh, it's 1-to-1. I've got one GPS and one NDB. We need some tiebreakers. There's 2 NDB. Oh, back course, yeah. If they had it, I would. It's very easy in this. Another GPS, that's what? 2-to-2. There's 3 for NDB. No, I'm not using any weather mods. I just have the weather turned way down. There's no mods. There's another NDB. Okay, so we'll do an NDB. So NDB runway 27. So I got to tune that. So we'll go to the tune page. 423. That there. And then we got to bring up a bearing pointer. Oops. And we want bearing pointer 1 on ADF. And it did not come up. Maybe it may not be close enough yet. All right, we can see we're close to the top of the descent. You can see the VNAV deviation and pointer coming down. You can see path, and the path is armed. When this centers, that should go up, and then it'll turn green, and then it'll start down. And there it goes. And now we have V path. And you can see below that it says alt V. So the next altitude it's going to go to is the altitude that we have set up with the VNAV. So the altitude up here in the magenta, that's the next one it's going to level off at. So it's going to level off next at 17,000 feet. If it said Alt S, it would level off at the 3,100 feet. Whatever one's in the altitude selector. So one's altitude selector, one's altitude for VNAV, or VNAV altitude. Just taking a quick peek out the windows. Just a bunch of clouds. All right, and I just turned off the VNAV window and put the text window back up. And you can see the altitude range select knob. They call it the banana up here that's white. All this is doing is telling us that the current rate of descent, the altitude that's in the altitude selector, that's 3,100, that's where, if everything stays constant right now, that's where we're going to hit 3,100 feet. So that one has nothing to do with VNAV. I'm just trying to figure out why the bearing pointer did not come up yet. It's on ADF1. I think it's just we're just too far out. All right, so the next thing we can do while we're descending here is set up our performance for the approach and landing. So destination here is we got PCW. We'll select the approach. It's not going to really change anything because we're going to do it manually. I'm going to take all this off. So you know what? I'm going to leave that out. I'm just going to select runway 27. That up there. I don't remember what the temperature was. Let's go back and check real quick. 22 degrees and 2983. Oops. There we go. And we'll put wet. It should be raining because I set that at the departure, so it should be there at the destination as well. And we'll just speed up a little bit here. And ice, we'll leave it off. It's warm enough. And we'll send those. Our VAP's 107, VREF is 100. Yeah, I wondered that. Also, K200, I'm thinking it's just not close enough for it because it's still, what, 60 miles out, 65 miles. It should come in by now, but yeah, I think that's the only thing. It's just distance, the way they've got it set up. All right, so they're at FBC, Flag City at 17. So the next thing it's doing is going to 3,100. So we've got Port Clinton set at 31. So now it's going to hit that at 3,100 feet. And it's going to adjust the descent rate based on speed. So if I speed up, it'll actually increase the rate of descent. So we can actually see that if I go back to this window. Oop, without getting overspeed. And I despise that sound. I hear it in the airplane. I feel like the XLS Plus has that exact same sound. I I don't say nice words when I hear it. I think everybody's like that. So you see there, rate of descent 1665, and if I slow down, it doesn't have to descend as fast to get to that altitude. So as we're slowing down, you can see the descent rate there. Now it's 1600 and it's decreasing. So it's always going to adjust your rate of descent based on your speed. Window approach performance input on the wind. The wind direction was all messed up for Port Clinton. The one for Toledo worked, but the one for Port Clinton was really messed up. I'll show you. Yeah, I don't know what direction that is. It's like 10.416667 at 10 knots. Yeah, I'm usually pretty quick on it. I don't ever go speed brakes or anything out, but I usually just pull the throttle back pretty quick. But I've had flights where I hit it 3 or 4 times and flights where I don't hit it the overspeed at all. Yeah, Jimmy, we would have lovely weather over the southwest. I was actually playing around with this earlier today. There's our bearing pointer. I was playing with this earlier today, and I had live weather turned on. And I was in Sedona, and there were actually clouds. So I think that's a glitch. I don't think there's ever clouds in Sedona. The times I've been there, I haven't seen any. All right, so now we're coming up on 10,000. Time to slow down. I got to get to below 250. And what I'll do, so I can't cheat, because you guys wanted me to do the NDB approach standalone. When I hit Port Clinton, NDB, I'll reach up to nav source, so the VOR will actually go up. So that way I have no navigation help other than the bearing pointer. And hopefully I don't screw it up, because there's nothing worse than screwing up an approach in front of 20 people when you're a professional pilot on a flight simulator. I flew with a guy that he had a saying with the overspeed: if you're not clacking, you're slacking. Which means if you're not hitting that thing, you're not going fast enough. All right, there's 10 and there's 250. I'm trying to get rid of this extended center line. Let's see if I can delete it. I should. Yes. There. Yeah, no kidding, Jimmy. But usually they won't know. Usually you can just go miss and just tell them the weather is bad. Unless the weather's good, then you have a lot of explaining to do. All right, so we have 4 minutes until we get to the NDB. And when we hit it, I've got NDB run my 2.7 up. I've got Navigraph on my iPad with the Jepson plate But when we hit it, the outbound course is 096. I'm going to hit it across the fix, and then go outbound for a minute and a half. And I'm going to hold about 160 knots on the speed. And do I always aim to stay at 250 when you go below 10,000? Yeah, it's in the United States, below 10,000 feet, 250 knots is the maximum. Most places. Some places it's 200, but 250 most places. When I say it's 200 some places, some types of airspace and under other, like underneath Class B, you can only go 200 knots. And then within a certain distance from, I believe, C and D airports, you have to be below 200 also. Or I'm sorry, 200 or less. But for the most part, below 10, 250 is the speed limit. Alright, since we're getting close, I'm going to go ahead and do the nav source thing now. Actually, no, I'm going to wait till we hit it, because that might mess up the VNAV. And we're actually slightly below the path, so I'm going to decrease the rate of descent and let it catch it again. And a nice view out the window. Can't see anything. That's the way I like it. Alright, now VPath is recapturing. We're slowing to 200 knots. When I get to below 200, I'll go to flaps 15. And then we'll start slowing down to 160 knots. So now we're less than a minute, got 5 miles to go. And then when we hit that, I can go ahead and select a heading now. I just won't engage that mode, but the outbound course is, course is 096. So we can go ahead and spin that. So as soon as that the bearing pointer flips or moves off our side, either side, left or right, we'll go out to 096 and start a time. And we'll go out for a minute and a half.
Altitude.
I actually forgot I got to put in another course on here, 113.6. It's already up there, good. And we'll go and start getting slowed down here. And you can see the needle. There's station passage. Now we hit heading. And we go to 096. We'll hit ET to start a time. And now we want to get the tail of this needle on 096. So I'm going to correct to the right 10 more degrees and pull it over to 106. All right, there's actually a cross radial to identify a point on here. There's 096, and now we go back to 096. Time, we're at 1:15, and I need to spin 297 on my course. And you can hear the rain coming in now. There's 1.5 minutes. I went a little over, but that's okay. Now we're going to procedure turn outbound 051. And we're going to time this one also. Once we roll wings level, we'll start the time again. And I got a little busy there. I could have come down. I can actually still descend because we are on the procedure turn. So there is wings level, time. We can come down to 2300. Vertical speed and head down. So you can see if we were in VNAV, if we were doing a GPS approach right now, like the next altitude it would go to is up here, which is the runway. That would be the next altitude it would go to, which isn't. It would just smash into the runway. About there's our minute. Now we'll make our right turn back to 231, and this procedure turn is just for course reversal is all it does. Easy way to get us turned around. And you can hear the rain hitting on the airplane. All right, now we don't have to time anything else, so we're done with the time. So the next thing we're looking for, the inbound course is 276. So we can get rid of the time. So that's the next thing we're going to look for is this blue needle to hit 276. And then once we're established inbound, we can come down to 1,400 feet until we hit ISIL intersection, which will be identified by this green needle centering. All right, so we said we're looking for 276 degrees. Let's zoom in just a little bit. There it's on about 268. So the next altitude is 1,400. Altitude is captured. We've actually got VNAV on still. We can turn that off. But the altitude is captured, so we can actually set in that next altitude now, which is 1,400. Right there. So all we have to do once we get established inbound, which is actually right now, is hit vertical speed and go down. And when we're established, you're within 10 degrees of the course. So 266 to 286. When that bearing pointer is in between those headings, you can, or those courses, you can go down. So there's 276. And vertical speed and go down. And that needle's almost centered, so we're just a little behind. I will go and go gear down and full flaps. Almost full flaps. We're a little too fast. That's a good story about the rain. I thought it sounded really good. I actually was flying in the rain on this the other day, and I thought, man, the rain effect was really good. I really liked it. So that's good to know that that's from inside your car. Yeah, it does. It sounds really close. Usually when I can hear rain like that, it's raining really hard and I would have the ignitions on, but yeah, that's definitely a hard rain, but the sound effect is good. All right, so when this needle centers right here, that's ISO intersection, then we can go down to 1060. This actually won't go to 1060, so we have to set 1100. And we're actually getting a little bit right of course, so we're going to correct to the left just a little bit. So right now I'm going to hold VAP. There's minimums, but we can continue because we're doing a non-precision approach. So the only way we're going to know when we go missed is when that needle flips. There's no time on this one, but it doesn't look like we're going to see anything. I see a little bit of ground out there, but not very much. Let's see if we can. So as a pilot, this is what you don't want to see, this, because it means you're going someplace else. You got to make different hotel reservations, and it's a pain in the butt. It just screws up your day. So we're just going to keep holding out here. This altitude, maybe we get lucky and see the airport, but it doesn't look like it. And we'll go miss when the needle flips. And when it flips, the missed approach procedure is climbing right turn to 2500 and then enter the holding pattern. But I'm just going to climb straight out to 2500 and head over to Toledo and do an ILS. And I still don't. Oh, I saw an airport light. Actually, we might get to see it. I do see it. So that's good news. And the runway is about 1230. And you would stay at this altitude until you get the glide path, the lights on the side of the runway, the VASI or the PAPI. And honestly, I forget which one this one has. But I did not expect to see that. But the graphics look really good. So do you guys want me to land here, or do you want me to go mist and go to Toledo and do an ILS? Go mist? Okay. We'll go mist. And there's the... It didn't pitch up.
Autopilot.
There we go. So we'll go mist and head to Toledo. Get our flaps up a notch. Positive rate gear up. And we can go flaps up, and then we'll get the flight director working for us here again. And see if I can catch this. I got a little bit behind. I didn't have my altitude set. But we'll go back down to it.
Autopilot.
This is actually easier to do in real life with 2 pilots than it is on here. There we go. And there's that overspeed again. Alright, so now it's going down to 4, so we're just going to go put Toledo up here. Oop, I didn't take it. There we go. And we'll go direct to it. We have to change our nav source. And press nav. And now it's going to go to Toledo. We'll delete this Port Clinton. And zoom out, see where we're at. And there's Toledo. Yeah, I did forget to set the missed approach altitude. Yeah, I could have set it as soon as it captured, but I didn't. Like I said, and you know it as well as I do, these are easier to fly in real life than they are on here. It gets very busy with one person. Alright, so now we'll do the ILS 25. So we'll go depart arrive. And it's not in there. We got to go back to flight plan and put it in here. And it won't let you put it in the alternate position, but I wish it did. All right, now we can go depart arrive. See there we have Toledo arrive. ILS 25. Yeah, right, it is. It's very frustrating to turn a knob. It's a simple task, and then when you go to turn it, if you move it off center just a little bit, it zooms in or out, and you got to start back over. All right, there's. Okay, so we'll tell it direct harbs. Then we'll select it here on the legs page, put it in pink. There we go. Now we're going to harbs. All right, now I'm looking down. I got to pull it up on my Navigraph here. Close. And I'll show another VNAV trick. Not really a trick, it's just another technique. Okay, ILS 25, we got it up. Harb's actually going to cross it at 3100. That's actually in there. Glide slope intercept is at 24, so I can actually set 2,400 feet. We'll just pretend that we're cleared for the approach. So that's in, then just hit VNAV. It'll hit harbs, and it will hit jeeps. And jeeps is the glide slope intercept. Now I'm going to go back up, get rid of this bearing pointer. I just don't want any more information on the screen if we're not using it. Actually, I would. There we go. And you can see this cyan, this dotted cyan needle, that's actually the localizer. And if we go over here to the tune page, we can see that it's already tuned up 108.7 in nav1. That's the nice thing about these FMSs. When you put in a localizer, you select it, you get within, I believe it's 30 nautical miles, it might be 25, I can't remember. It will automatically tune the localizer for you. So all you have to do is look up and make sure that the frequency is the same. All right, so here I'm going to quickly try to go back and look at the weather for Toledo. All right, so 240 at 14, 5,024 degrees, 2983. 24 degrees. And winds 240 at 240 at 13. And we'll say it's still wet. I don't remember if it is or not, but I'll leave it in there. Hey, Richard. Yeah, you probably should be sleeping. Your 6-hour time difference. Well, thanks. Yeah, we'll be at Toledo in about probably 7 or 8 minutes. It says 6, but it'll take just a touch longer because we'll slow down. All right, so here we're going to hit harbs at 3,100. The VNAV will take it down. We've got the bottom altitude set, which is 2,400 in the altitude selector. Next altitude is going to hit is 3,100 at harbs. It's actually 3,100 or above, but you can see top of descent right there is going to start down. And then it's going to hit Jeeps at 24, and then somewhere prior to that, we'll reach up and hit approach, and just it'll make the cyan needle here active. It'll turn green when it captures with approach armed, and then it will intercept the localizer and fly the ILS down. And one thing I learned with this pink, it's the VNAV deviation indicator, I think is the actual name. Everybody calls it the snowflake. When I found out the actual name, I understood why they call it the snowflake. It's just easier to say, and it looks kind of like a snowflake. So once that centers, then the airplane will start descending, and it's going to follow that down. And it's going to hit harbs at or above 3,100 feet. Yeah, Jason, it is nice when everything works. So when it doesn't work and you have the conversation, what's it doing? That's no fun. All right, so coming up on harbs, I just added flaps 15, so we'll start slowing down. Next thing it's going to do is hit harbs, and it's going to make a left turn and head to Jeeps. And it should cross Jeeps at 2,400 feet, which is where we should also intercept the glide slope. And if we go missed on this one, it's climbed to 1,100 feet, then climbing left turn to 2,500, direct to whoop to intersection and hold. But we won't set the missed approach altitude yet. Not until we capture the glide slope. When we capture the glide slope, then we'll set the missed approach altitude. And you can actually see up here on the top where the VNAV came down. Up here you can see like a cyan diamond coming down. That's actually the glide slope. So the localizer's in cyan, the glide slope's in cyan. So everything off that number 1 nav is in cyan. The GPS is all in pink. I'm actually going to hit approach. We'll see what it does. It's armed there. It's captured. See, it's captured the glide slope. It took all the blue stuff away that was up with the GPS. So now it's just looking at the localizer and the glide slope only. So it's going to go down to 2,400 feet, this descent rate, unless the glide slope captures first. So we'll turn VNAV off. And since we're about to capture the glide slope, we'll go and get the gear down. It should level off at 2,400. And there we go, full flaps. And now Mr. Approach altitude, glide slope is captured. Now we can set in the Mr. Approach altitude of 2,500. Right there. Because when it says GS or glide slope, that's all it's watching. It doesn't care what you set in the altitude selector. You could set 500 feet, 1,000 feet, it's not going to level off. It's just going to follow that glide slope down to the runway. Yeah, I leave it there as long as I can. When it gets close, I'll change it over to I'll hit approach and let it switch over. Because it's doing a good job of what it does, just let it do it. Alright, the only thing I didn't do was set in, I forgot to set in minimums, which are 878, but I can remember those. I actually forgot to set the altimeter, but it's still 2992 because I don't have live weather turned on. Jason, yeah, he says the best way to learn something is to teach it. Do you find the simulator and doing this content helps you stay proficient? Sometimes yes and no. Some ways it does, some ways it doesn't. Some ways it's negative transfer because some of the stuff on here doesn't work the same way in the airplane, or display might be different, and if you do this too much, the airplane will get confusing. Or you think, why doesn't it do that? Because it did it in the sim, but it's just little things like that. But it does help keeping that just to keep that stuff working, to keep thinking about the stuff like minimums and everything else involved. So it does help some with proficiency. Not a ton, but just a little bit. It's better than not doing anything at all. I'll put it that way. All right, so 878, so we have about just under 500 feet to minimums. I'll raise my seat position, and hopefully we see an airport or a runway. 400. There's less than 300 to minimums. And approach lights in sight. Perfect. Right at minimums.
Autopilot.
And that's the way it's supposed to look. Hey, Don. You made it just in time for minimums. Hopefully you're here for the whole thing. And we made it. And it's always fun flying in real life when you break out at minimums like that. The passengers almost think you're a superhero. Especially the worse the weather is, and when you break out, the worse the weather is. If it's pouring down rain and windy, you're even more of a superhero. I've even had passengers clap. Alright, so that's all I had planned. However, I do have that Vertigo airplane. I don't know if you guys have seen it. The same guy that did the made one called Vertigo. It's that little VL3, but they put a 850 horsepower turboprop engine in it. They can increase the weather, and go fly that around if you guys want to watch that. It's not quite volcanic ash. This kind of weather won't hurt the engines. Z06, why do you said you suck? Why do you say you suck? Richard, I mean, I don't fly the CJ4. I fly the XLS Plus. I would say it doesn't feel like anything. It's just the joystick I have feels totally different. I fly the sim with my right hand and throttle with the left. That way when I'm flying in the airplane, left hand, and then throttle on the right, I don't get them confused. So it I can't really answer that, I guess. That's my answer. All right, yeah. So if you guys want, we'll get rid of this lousy weather because I'm tired of it. I like to chat with you guys, but I haven't really had time to look at the screen a whole lot. How about we just do this live weather? Oh, that's better. And let me switch out of here and go get that other airplane. Here it is. Does anybody have an airport request? Actually, you know what? Let's do this Rattlesnake Island. This is up in Put in Bay, close to where we just were. It's a little grass runway. I've heard that if you land here, they will greet you with a shotgun. It's just a rumor. I've never found out, but that's the rumor I've heard when I flew in that area. Do any of you have the Vertigo aircraft? It's a free download. I got it. At first I didn't like it. I thought it seemed way too powerful. I know it's not really a real airplane. I think he models these after Mike Patey's airplanes. But yeah, I think this thing is faster than the Space Shuttle almost. I was actually at 41,000 feet chasing an Airbus last night. I was passing it. All right, so I'll just fly this thing around. If anybody wants to see anything at all, just let me know. But I'll just fly this thing around, do low passes, and just a bunch of goofy stuff with it, I guess. It's just fast and climbs like crazy. You can even leave the parking brake on. It'll got so much power, it'll overpower it. But the rudder is extremely sensitive on this. See, just like that's 200 knots. There's 300. And 340. And now we'll climb straight up. And there's Put-in-Bay off the left wing. All right, Richard, have a good night. Thanks for stopping in. And let's see, right there we're passing through 14,000 feet, and I've still got it pretty much pointing straight up, and it's just now getting about 110 knots. And you can see there off the left wing, that's where we took off from. If I figure the top speed on this, let's see. I think it's 400. There it's showing 380 for the red line. But it'll do over 400 knots true airspeed. And that little island right there, that's Pele Island. It's actually Canada. And here's the island we just took off from. Yeah, I don't think we can break it. I think one time I actually did break this airplane, but I had to try really hard. But this is a fun little airplane. At first I didn't like it. It seemed too powerful. I mean, it's not, I mean, it's a fictitious airplane, so I mean, it's like you get what you get. It's like you shouldn't, I don't think a person should have expectations that it's super real, but it's just, the more you fly it, the more fun it is to fly around. I just wish it had an autopilot. That would make it kind of nice, but I believe it's meant for racing. Yeah, Don, I've heard of people doing that, correcting the sensitive rudder by editing the flight model in the configuration file. Yeah, I need to do that. Hopefully they'll update it and do it by themselves, but it needs something. It's worse than the rudder sensitivity when Flight Sim first came out on the Asobo airplanes. This is the Vertigo. Is that Keegan? It's the Vertigo. It's made by the GotGrravel, the guy that made the Savage Gravel. This is his second airplane, but this one's freeware. And I believe it's on their website. I think it's on GitHub, but if you search for it or GotGrravel, you should be able to find it. And up here to the left, that's Cedar Point. It's a very old amusement park. The rides are all new, obviously, but I think it was actually found, I think, in the 1860s, 1870s. At one time, they had some of the world record roller coasters. I think the biggest one there now is like 400 feet tall. Yeah, and Mike Patey has he's got an airplane similar to this. I don't think it's this exact one, but it looks close. I can't remember which one he used, and then he did. I believe he put a turboprop engine on it. And right below us there, that's Sandusky Airport. That's actually closed. They've actually got soccer fields on top of it now, but they still show the runways in Flight Sim 2020. Yeah, this thing will go up to, it says service ceiling of 31,000 feet, but it'll actually go up into the, I think I had it up around 40 or 41. Doesn't do as well up there, but it does pretty good in the 30s. And another cool mod that I have, I don't know if you guys have it, it's the Garmin GTN 750. It was in the Navigraph newsletter earlier this week. That one you can actually go and replace the Garmin G1000 and some of the other Garmins in about 7 or 8 different airplanes with the Garmin GTN 750, and it makes life so much easier. I added a flight plan to it, departure point, destination, and added waypoints in the middle. It was really easy. The default aircraft is just, it's virtually impossible to do it, but it was super easy with it and it worked. But that was in the Navigraph newsletter, but it's the Garmin GTN 750. That one they have, it's in beta testing, but it is free right now. And that's, if somebody's looking for a better GPS for some of the GA airplanes, that one's fantastic. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to fly along this shoreline and head over towards Cleveland and go land at Burke Lakefront. But what I'll do is climb up a little higher so we can go faster, higher true airspeed, and get there quicker. Z06, check out race. What is that? Yeah, Don, that's right. I know people had asked me to make a video on how to alter flight plans in the G3000 and others. I gave up on it. It locked my computer up 4 or 5 times. I said I'm done. I can't do it anymore because it locked up constantly. And they still let all that stuff out, but like we've said before, they sold us on graphics and it worked. All right, so then I've got Burke Lake front end, 27 miles to go. Oh yeah, I have seen that. I've seen that video where they take I think it's an R22 or an R44, and they've got a yeah, they've got that turboprop similar to this one, and I think an Eclipse jet. And they race them. They go out and fly around a mountain and come back. But yeah, that airplane they build it's fast. And he's working on Scrappy now, the one I think that replaces Draco, the one that wrecked. And I don't know what he's putting in that one. I haven't watched his videos in a couple weeks. Yeah, a friend of mine actually, he got to tour his shop. They were out in I think he's in Utah or somewhere out there. I forget where they're at exactly, but on their way back, they got to stop and tour the shop, which would be pretty cool. Yeah, and I was thinking that the turboprop he made like this, I was thinking that was a Lancer that he did. This is the, whatever this is, VL3. But I think Mike Patey's is a Lancer. Well, Don, it's nice when stuff works the way it's supposed to, isn't it? I'm just happy that I can use an FMS and just like I do in the real world, like the stuff I was doing on the approaches a little while ago. When I first downloaded that, I was amazed and just blown away. It's like I can do everything I do the way I know how to do it in the real airplanes on Flight Sim, and that was kind of a first with as far as FMS and GPSs are concerned. Well, Z06, I think it's you're going to Oshkosh this year. I've never been. I always say I'm going to go next year. Next year comes and I never go. But I've heard it's just an absolute zoo of airplanes. So what I'll do up here, you can see Cleveland in front of us. I'm just going to do a low pass down runway 5, fly up, come back around, and land on, I believe that's 2-3. Yeah, Don, but they're still doing a good job with that. They've updated a lot. It's pretty. It's not a exact to real life to the FMS 3000, but it's pretty close. And some of the functions that it doesn't do, I mean, doesn't really matter on Flight Sim, but it's still. I'm thrilled with it. Even the first release, I think, was 0.9 that I used, or 0.8, and it was still good then. But they've just made it better with being able to get weather and changing the slope and everything else. Mistake by the lake. Yep, you got that right. I think this is the only place where a river caught on fire. I forget which river. I think it's out here to the east. There's a river out there that caught on fire years ago. I think they were dumping some chemicals in it that shouldn't have been going in it. I believe that was the story. Yeah, I've been in this airport a few times. I've never been to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, though. Usually I'm here long enough to go eat, and that's it. You know, none of they used to have the IndyCar race up here on the runways, but I don't think they even do that anymore. But I think they still do have their air show. And this thing will slow down pretty good with full flaps. Other than that, it's just a little rocket, but it's still fun. And somebody else just landed going the other way. I think they just landed 3 times. Alright, now I'm going to fly around some buildings, and I'm going to call it a night. The bigger airport in the area is Cleveland Hopkins. See, I wonder if it'll let me fly under that bridge right there. Thanks, black helicopters. Oh, I didn't know that. And I didn't know that, Don. I usually follow IndyCar pretty close. Saw that bridge I wanted to try and flounder it, and I lost it. Oh well. Yeah, that's about it. I'm just going to go back here and land, and I think I'm going to call it a night. Yep, U206. That's pretty close to center line. If I can look out my window and I can't see it, that's pretty good. Alright guys, thank you for watching. I'm going to end the stream here. And I may do another stream this weekend. I just don't know yet. When I do find out, I'll put one out on the community tab on the YouTube page. So, thank you everybody for watching.